Kumail Nanjiani, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know who Kumail Nanjiani is, he's an actor. He was in Silicon Valley. He was, of course, in Eternals. And he's having a lot of problems, ladies and gentlemen, because if you don't remember, the Eternals bombed at the box office, and the critics didn't like it. And that has led him to seek therapy.
Not even kidding.
I'm not joking. What's funny about this is it reminded Mary of something that I should have thought of initially, which is that somebody commented recently about when me and Mary say trauma, we say it in this high-pitched trauma. And that comes from a clip that I've watched millions of times from Clownfish TV when they did this video in 2019. Shout out to Clownfish TV, by the way, some of the best people working in this space on YouTube. Where they talked about the director of Terminator Dark Fate, who also said that the bombing of his movie, Terminator Dark Fate, meant that he had to deal with unresolved trauma from his movie not doing well.
Hilariously embarrassing. We have a $20 from Carnell. In regards to Gina getting her job back at Lucasfilm, may have more to do with her lawyers putting it in the suit only due to California state law permits anyone unlawfully terminated or entitled to being rehired. Okay. Yeah. But Disney's not going to do that. Not going to happen. But yeah, he did this interview on a podcast called Inside of You, which is kind of weird.
It's Michael
Rosenbaum's podcast.
Shout out to Lex Luthor from Smallville. I'll give him cred.
He did this segment where they were talking about how he gets panic attacks. And then they got into the historic flop that was 2021's Eternals, that he expected it to do well just because there were a lot of stars in it, like Angelina Jolie,
she was
Salma
the only
Hayek. Thank you
guys. Like when you watch that, first of all, I want to point out that if you watch that movie, what it ends up being is it just makes all the other actors look bad because it's this unbelievably depressing, boring, really, really self-indulgent art style film that Chloe Zhao made. And Angelina Jolie absolutely proves in every scene that she's the only one with even a lick of actual charisma.
Did you see it, Phil?
No.
She owns every scene that she's in. It's a bad movie, but at least Angelina Jolie makes certain scenes watchable.
She shouldn't have been in an MCU
and here's
film.
the thing. I like Kumail Nanjiani. I've mentioned before, he hosted one of my favorite podcasts of all time, which is called The X-Files Files, which is a show where he would just go through and review episodes of The X-Files with various other people in the industry. And I love that podcast, and I loved his perspective on most of that.
When he's not talking about being mentally ill.
Yes. So should we play this clip of him?
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go, guys. Let's listen to what he has to say about this.
It's mostly crying.
When you talk about Eternals and it wasn't the response that you were hoping, how did that affect you? Did it really consume you for a while? Did it something you had to get counseling on? Is it something where you took it to heart? Like, was it me? What was this?
I knew
It's
it
not
wasn't
you,
me.
it's me.
I think that there were a lot of things that went into it. I love that movie. I'm very proud of that movie. I'm proud of everyone's work in it, and I'm proud of my work in it. And I've seen that movie, I've seen it a bunch of times because it's like my kind of movie. And I don't watch stuff I'm in a lot, and a lot of stuff I'm in I've never watched. It was really, really hard because Marvel thought that movie was going to be like really, really well reviewed. And so they lifted the embargo really early, and they also put it in some fancy movie festivals. And they sent us on a big like global tour promoting the movie right as the embargo was lifted. And so we had to like sort of travel the world while they thought we'd be going on a wave of raves, and it wasn't true. It just sort of was, the reviews were really bad.
And you were aware of it while you were on tour?
Yeah, I was too aware of it. I was reading every review. I was checking too much because this thing had become too much in my head, because this was also right after the pandemic, so we're coming out after this crazy thing, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be the coming out party. I worked so hard for this.
And everything's heightened. Your anxiety in life, everything's kind of like, and now this happens.
Everything's heightened. And I don't know. I mean, I think that there was some weird soup in the atmosphere for why that movie got slammed so much. And I think not very much of it has to do with the actual quality of the movie. Anyway, it was really, really hard. And that's when I was like, this is unfair to me. It's unfair to Emily. I can't approach my work this way anymore. Some shit's got to change.
Emily's his wife.
And so very intentionally, I did start counseling. I still talk to my therapist about that. Emily says that, obviously that I do have trauma from it. I actually,
Jesus
Emily and I just got dinner with someone else from that movie. And we were like, man, that was tough, wasn't it? He's like, yeah, that was really tough. I think we all went through something kind of similar. And then this guy that I'm talking about is like truly one of the best actors of our generation and has been nominated for an Oscar since then. So I realized I can't be so results based in my work anymore because I can't really control it. I can control my experience. I can control how I am to the people around me. I can control what I learn from it. I can control how I work. Can't control what people are going to think of it.
No.
I actually agree with his outcome.
Okay,
I just don't agree with the rest of it.
You can't control what people think of it, especially because he wasn't the film's writer or director or anything like that. But I swear, people in Hollywood are the only ones who think their job should be about having fun instead of making money for themselves and the people who employ them.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, like the complaining about criticism or that people didn't like it, like, shut the fuck up. It's the most bitch-made shit I've ever seen. From probably 2006, maybe 2005, until 2015, there are two metal blogs that every time my name came up, every time we released anything, they were shitting all over me. You know what I didn't need? Fucking therapy. Man up. Jesus Christ, that's so embarrassing.
He's also one of the people who said that it's it's no longer we have to get rid of traditional masculinity. It was no longer about toxic masculinity. It was about traditional masculinity. I can see
he
why.
got rid of his traditional masculinity. He threw that shit the hell away. He doesn't need it.
What's interesting is look, I've had people where I've mentioned before the importance of embargo dates. You can always tell how much trust a studio has in a movie by when they release the embargo on a film. So if you're going to see a movie and the critics' ability to write their reviews and put out their reviews for these movies isn't lifted until the day before the movie, that usually means that the studio has absolutely no faith in the film and they want to make sure that people don't have time to read any of that. And I would have people tell me, oh, that's bullshit, that's crazy. No, it's common sense. It makes perfect sense.
Was that the case for the Eternals?
So this is one of these cases where the studio, it was just because Marvel in 2019 thought that they couldn't do anything wrong. So when the movie was made, by the time it came out in 2021, post Endgame, they're like, oh, people still love Marvel. People are going to come out to this movie no matter what. Well, that wasn't the case.
Hubris.
So they released the embargo early, and nobody liked the movie because it's pretentious. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes. Like nothing happens. It's just landscape shots from start to finish. It's awful. And the point being that I don't remember anything that happens in it. And so they have to go on this press tour. And to his point, he's not wrong. He has to now go on a press tour where everybody hates his movie. That would suck. But that's not something you have to go see a therapist over.
It sounds like he's doing it at the advice of his wife.
His wife is
telling him,
you're
traumatized by this. This is one of your formative traumas.
His wife is either a psychologist or a psychiatrist, if I remember correctly. They have
no shit.
Yeah. We have a $20 one here from the Ninja Bear. It says, Mary, you look fantastic. Don't listen to haters.
Thanks.
It's so weird that being patriotic makes you right-wing and racist, yet being a thought is enduring. Imagine if people just became responsible. Man up, people. Hi, Brent. Hi, Phil.
Hi.
I think also when they were saying that about Toby Keith, I almost said Kobe Keith again, about Toby Keith, is that he was a conservative Democrat. It's just that when Democrats started hating America, maybe that was when it switched for him.
Yeah. Someone needed to tell Kumail Nanjiani to man up. What happened to men suppressing their feelings or not at least sharing them to millions of people?
Yeah.
Men, I don't know. It's just... You shouldn't be doing that. I don't know. Maybe if he needed therapy, go to therapy, but you don't have to talk about it on a podcast. And also they came up with this weird term called career dysmorphia on the podcast. He said that his therapist told him he has career dysmorphia, which I guess is the same thing as imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
But he's saying I shouldn't be so results based. I should just do whatever projects are fun for me that make me feel good.
Look, if you have the
and so
money,
I can make friends and hang out with my friends.
If you have enough money and you've done well enough that you can do that, I guess more power to you. But I think that most people in the audience would prefer that the best actors be results based and choose their projects based on what they think will make the most money, because that means making a lot of money translates to audiences that actually liked your films.
The unfortunate thing is, if Eternals got overwhelmingly positive reviews from critics but still was a horrible flop in the box office, he wouldn't feel bad about it. He doesn't care if the movie actually does well in theaters. He only cares what this rarefied class of elite critics thinks about it.
Because you, I, or the rest of the world doesn't matter.
Oh, and award shows.
Yes.
They only care about award shows and good reviews from critics. They do not care if the general audience liked their movie.
It's funny, too, because that movie did have, it had Salma Hayek in it. It had Barry Keoghan in it. It had all of these actors that are actually really good at their jobs. Brian Tyree Henry. Brian Tyree Henry was in Bullet Train. All of these people that are really, really good actors. And then they ended up making it about the fact that it had the first Marvel sex scene, which was pointless and stupid. It had the first Marvel gay romance, which nobody cares about. The things they promoted this movie on were things that nobody cares about. It was 2 hours and 40 minutes of just nothing but landscape shots and stupidity.
No Marvel movie should be over 2 hours long. They cast this in 2019? Right?
It would have been,
cast in 2018 or 2019, filmed it, then COVID happened, then they released it the year after COVID, so they're finally going to in-person events to promote it again.
They also
they wouldn't be able to afford these people in present day Marvel.
This guy got into fantastic shape to play a superhero. That was a big part of it. So he did all the work that needed to be done to do that. Maybe that's what he's mad about. Maybe he's mad about having to restrict his diet.
We got a $20 from Pat the Plumber. Bottle that S up till your heart explodes like the rest of us. Seriously, give us the courtesy of suppressing your emotions. Give us that courtesy.
This was the article from 2019. Terminator director Tim Miller reflects on box office trauma and James Cameron fights. He says he's still processing.
Could we show the clownfish?
Yes. If you're ever wondering why me and Mary say trauma the way that we do, it comes from this clip, which I just still remember. It's a core memory of mine watching this video the first time it came out in 2019 that would then resurface when me and Mary would have to use the word trauma over and over when talking about these things.
I don't think that's true.
So Clownfish TV. Clownfish TV. We're bigger than Terminator.
They're
and
gonna
bigger
be
than
like, you're liars.
Yeah, we are liars. We're also drinking tonight, so
Another reason I love
excuse
this clip.
us. So, okay, Hollywood Reporter. Terminator director Tim Miller on box office bomb. I'm processing. He's processing.
If we make dumb comments, it's because we're processing the alcohol.
He's processing. The director has no plans to work with James Cameron again.
No kidding.
James Cameron clashed with Deadpool director over Terminator Dark Fate. This was a film that was forged in fire. He has no plans to work with James Cameron because he wants to retain control. Are you snorting? He wants to retain control of his own films. It has nothing to do with whatever trauma I have from the experience.
Trauma! Oh my God.
That is a sad, beaten man. This is the same man who was baiting the fans last year,
Another person who was baiting fans.
Trauma is one of those overused buzzwords.
Yes.
Whatever it gets replaced with is
I would
going
love to be able
worse.
to have Neon and Geeky on here, but they don't show their face on camera. I mean, they have, but they don't show their face on camera regularly. But I would love to have them on here. But this is why whenever the word trauma comes up, we say that with that tone, because Geeky said it in that video.
These people deserve to be mocked. They do.
It's just...
Also, I mean, it would be cringy if a woman did it, but especially just... As a man, why are you talking about your therapy sessions on a podcast?
Like, did these people ever have to work regular jobs where you got performance reviews every quarter?
No, I don't believe those things happen anymore.
Yeah. Performance reviews?
Well, we don't have those here, but to be fair, we don't have those. But yeah, God, the men you sent to protect and provide for us are talking about their mental health on a podcast.
Smite them.
Please help.
Smite them.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.